Question, Thomas LeRoy, how does this work? The occult, the left-hand path. What do you think is really going on? What I'm trying to do on this channel is answer those very questions because the why and the how is important to me. There are many other left-hand path channels out there with individuals I like and respect. Their capacity to relay their knowledge of the esoteric art should be admired. But for me, I like to get into the philosophical, psychological, and mythological aspects because studying those tends to lead to a better understanding of your path. Now, to begin with, my personal history in relation to the occult is not unlike most others in the respect that I started out as a Christian who rebelled and left the faith. I think we all went through that, or at least most of us. We felt we were being deceived, not exactly lied to, because our parents or caregivers really believed it. It's just that many of us, when we reached a certain age, we naturally rebelled. And if you have that profound gift of reasoning, well, religion tends to be the key thing one rebels against. I was maybe 13 or 14, and being naturally anti-authoritarian with an innate love of the dark, I was drawn toward the more sinister aspects of the occult. And at first I was pretty much a believer. I believed it all. I read as much as I could get my hands on, many different practices. But eventually that same skeptical gaze I focused at religion, I focused at the occult. And I began to ask questions. And as I've said many times before, belief is easy. All you have to do is accept, give in. Belief, faith, it's convincing yourself something is factual because you want it to be true, based on how you feel about it, emotion. It's easy to believe while knowing, truly understanding whatever topic it is. That's a different story. That's hard. That takes work. It's easier to allow others to do the thinking for you. Look at most Christians. I bet the average atheist has a more in-depth understanding of the Bible than the average Christian does. But even though I was skeptical, I couldn't throw it all away. I mean, it would be too simplistic of me to just say it was all bullshit and walk away, because the occult does work. It works from a psychological perspective. Now, some of you are saying, wait a second, what the fuck are you talking about? When I say it's psychological, it doesn't mean it's less real. I'm not downplaying the occult's significance by calling it psychological, because everything is psychological. Everything. That's the foundation we're all working from. What do I mean by this? You can't perceive reality for what it really is. Think about it. Everything is perceived through the mind. All your senses. You can't see, feel, smell, taste, hear anything. Reality exists in your head. Now, even though it's all in your head, are there still outside forces, you may ask? I wouldn't call them outside forces, but inside forces. Here's an example, and bear with me. In sinister occultic practices, we have demons. And many believe in demons, work with demons, but at the same time, those who believe in demons have to be aware that in many cases, these very demons were once gods, often Middle Eastern gods that were vilified by the conquering Abrahamic forces. They were converted, twisted into their demonic shapes because the ancient Israelites had to downplay the significance. their relevance to subjugate the conquered people. Because, as I've mentioned in recent videos, religion is at the foundation of any given society. But you might be saying, I've worked with demons and something very real occurs. What is it then? This is where we get into Jungian theory. These are the mask of the archetypes at play. You can call them currents, forces, whatever. They're separate from you, yet in you, and they're greater than you. These avatars of the archetypes wear different masks determining what culture they're influencing. Thus, these gods or demons are very real, and their influence on any given society can be very great. And if a society chooses to ignore the demons or push them away, insisting that you should be protected from them instead of trying to understand them, this leads to psychic instability. For the demons dwell in the shadows, and your personal shadow will be consumed by them, these strange alien forces that you were too afraid to get to know. And this is where the left-hand path comes in. The religious traditions of Western civilization disparaged getting to know the demonic aspects. It is a principal characteristic of their orthodoxy. You must beg God to protect you from evil in the guise of Satan. They don't want you to get to know Satan. They'd rather you fear what lurks in the shadows. That's how they control you. Fear. Politicians understand that. They utilize that tactic all the time. The left-hand path, though, frees you from fear. This is because the strongest fear is fear of the unknown, to quote H.P. Lovecraft. And if you face the demons, they're no longer unknown. That's the real power of the left-hand path. So, in conclusion, I hope that answered your questions. Understand that there are many different people with many different schools of thought on this path, and I respect anyone who dares to voice their opinions, because the status quo doesn't take kindly to what we preach. But my personal philosophy is about obtaining truth, and truth lies in the knowing, not in the believing. Until next time.